in terms of the learning is exam day preparation. Now, this is not, I would say, a super major thing, but still there are few suggestions or few things which, if you already prepare in advance, that will just make your life very much more easier in terms of the examination. Now, most people will think this through, I would say, one day before the exam. If you do this in advance, even a few weeks in advance, that can be in your advantage, because this is not just only, having the right sleep, you're not taking the spicy food and stuff like that. You can do other things as well. So let me quickly highlight those things as well. So point number one, answer all the questions. Now, even though this sounds very, very, trivial in the end, but you have to answer all the questions correctly. If you not answer a question correctly, that will count as an incorrect answer. Now, the software which PMI uses for the exam will technically let you know if you missed a question whatsoever or not answer the question, but please make sure you answer all of them. Now, the second thing, use a strategy. And then here is the strategy which I like to mention here, and also Namita related to. You're going with a block of 60 questions, 10 minutes break, 60 questions, 10 minutes break, 60 questions. Now, this will make your life so much easier. Those 10 minutes of breaks are actually not coming off your exam preparation, duration. Technically, they are on top. If you go exceed the 10 minutes, now that's where the overall clock of 230 minutes will start to tick. But why this is so important? Because remember, nobody can do 180 questions every single day. So nobody can do that, and nobody will. It's completely unsustainable, unrealistic idea. So you need to break this down. Now, since the exam is built on the way that you can do either, breaks after 60 questions, or you can do a single break after 90 questions, you either can decide that I will go a strategy of 60s or a strategy of 90s, which I cut it in half. So your goal is from now on is to either just to make sure that you can go against 60 questions as high a score as you can, or against with 90. But the more you think about this in advance, the easier this will get, because remember, you cannot spin the wheel to do 180 every single day. So 5 days in a row, another 5 days in a row, in weeks, for example, you cannot do that, okay? Then this will also helping you with the pace, which means 60 questions, the first 60, you do it in 80 minutes. Then for the remaining 2 times 60 questions, you can do it in 70 minutes. Why the first one will go 80 minutes? Because on the exam, everybody suffered the syndrome of the first few questions takes the most amount of time. I meet with them and I meet with a lot of people, and they say, first 20 questions took me 45 minutes. Because everyone goes through that syndrome that you are, that's the real exam. So you might reading questions more times than you normally do. And also just to get used to the type of wording they are using. So I would say that put this pace with the strategy together, and that will make your life easier. Because your target now in terms of practicing questions is going to be this. Your time cap is to doing 60 questions in less than 70 minutes. The more you master this, easier the exam will take, okay? That's how this can help you. Now, while you're doing the questions, sometimes you are not fully sure, so you can flag in questions on the exam. Now, my advice to you, do not flag more than 3 per block for reviewing the end. Now, what does this mean? Because after 60 questions, you're opting for a break, you cannot go back and review those questions anymore. Why? Because if you are on a test center, for example, PMI will say, you go to the toilet, you open up the pen book guide, you're reading all the answers, you go back to the test, and you're finishing off all your tests with all correct answers. So technically, the breaks will mean that you cannot go back to reviewing those anymore. But just from a time management perspective, the more you mark, the more uncertainty, the more the chance that you choosing the incorrect answers can be there. So trying to limit that number to 3, okay? The next one here is that to make sure you're reading all the questions. Now, this will including how many times you're going to read the questions. And if you're asking me, there is no definite number. You can read it 5 times, 6 times, 8 times, 10 times. It is all fine, fully entitle you. But please make sure you're aware of your timing, because the timing will be a killer, because that's a countdown. So your timing is not going to go like from 0 to 60 minutes and then 1 hour of 1 minute, 2 minutes, or whatever you prepare for it. It's going to be a countdown from 230 minutes downward. So you better prepare on that way because that will be annoying. Also, you need to find a way how you're reading the questions. What I mean by that. So my brain working only one way. I need to read this through completely. But there are people who say, you read the question, you read the answers, you make a preliminary selection, then you read the question, then you read the whole thing again, and then you finalize your answer. My brain never works this way. So you decide, you already most likely going to find a way, experiment, try this, try that, and in the end, you're going to find a solution which works for you. But that's already something you need to think about it in advance. I highlighted an exam day preparation, but the reason for that, because that's something you wanted to consider beforehand. But for example, the reading it 4, 5, 6 times just to make sure that you are aware, because that's something will happen, and do not worry about it much. Now, the next thing here is the brain dump, and also Namita mentioned that she wanted to use a pen and a paper. Now, in a test center, you either get a pen and a paper, so for them, so you're not going to break your stuff in, or they're going to give you a whiteboard type of material. Now, and here's the thing, what you need to add to the brain dump, I would say completely up to you. There is no longer like a brain dump formula. Why? Because we're no longer going to get 20 calculation questions. In the past, we memorized all the formulas, we put it into the brain dump, and we're going to using it. I mean, what is really making sense, if you're asking me, is going to be the 49 process table. But that will be time consuming. But other than that, unless you have something very specific, but again, decided in advance, you do not need a brain dump. Completely unnecessary moving forward. Okay? Now, sorry, any questions so far? If you don't have any question, can you give me a quick thumbs up into the chat? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's good. That's good. That's good. Now, continuing with this, single thinking process. So before the exam, that's something which is very interesting. So in terms of test questions, your last day to do any questions is going to be exam day minus 2 days. Now, what does this mean? So my exam is on Saturday, okay? And then you have Friday, and then you have Thursday. The last day you do any questions is going to be the Thursday. Why? Because on the day before, you're not doing any questions. Why? Because in case of, you're not scoring as high as you expected, lula, in a blink of an eye, it's going to be midnight and you're still doing questions and you're never feeling ready. You simply talk yourself out of it. So the day before, you're not doing any questions. Technically, in this scenario, when the exam is on Saturday, Thursday midnight is the last time when you do any questions. Otherwise, you're going to kill yourself and set yourself for failure. Don't do it. You can watch videos, as I mentioned, light study day, focus on recapping the learning videos, nothing major, nothing extra, maybe a good hour in the morning, hour in the afternoon, or maybe if you're watching multiple videos, make it 2 hours each. All the work should have been done technically in this scenario, like a Thursday until Thursday, including all the questions you can have, because the day before is just, setting this mental readiness for the exam itself. And in case of, whatever happens, you definitely need the champagne into the fridge, so make sure you have it there. So that's also a key item. And the plan B. Now, what I mean by the plan B. Now, in case of, let's say you sit on the exam and you not get the expected results, so I'm not going to say out loud, you need to think about it, I've said before for sure, that what should I have done differently? And you sit down and you say, oh, I think I should spend more time on the questions. Now, there you have it. You should just spend simply more time, because in the end of the day, if somebody fails, what you need to do afterwards is exactly what you did 2, 3, 4 weeks before the exam. There is no course for second timers. There is no book for second timers. You do not need to redo your course. You do not need to go back to the Andrew Ramdale course. You simply just need to do more questions to improve your testing score. There is no magic pill. There is no other formula of another David McLachlan video or my video or something like that. Simply, the universe is just telling you that you just need to put in more practice to the questions, because that's all that is. Okay, so in case of a plan B, you just need to, okay, you're crying over the weekend, you finish off the champagne, but after that you carry on and you study as usual 5 days, 60 questions on a week, on a study days over the weekend, you do a full mock exam. You score 70%, 75%, 80%. Predictably, you can do that each week with an improvement of 5 to 10%, and you're gonna get there, okay? On the exam day, you're trying to stay calm, you have a game plan, you have the strategy in place, and that will set the scene that you have this under control. All righty? Whew, we have 2 more minutes. This was actually what I wanted to mention to you guys. Anyone has any questions? Before the questions, Ali asking how many times you can sit on the exam. Well, if you are accepted, you have 3 attempts on sit on the exam. But please be reminded, you have to pay for every single attempt. So it's not like I paid once and then I go, I try it 3 times. No. PMI is a non-profit, but they do like money, which means that first time is going to be full price, second and third time is going to be less, but you still need to pay for the exam. So that's why you wanted to do it the first time. Okay? All right. Yeah, very good for Ali. Anyone has any questions with this exam day preparation or little explanation of what to do and how to do it? It might sound mechanical a little bit, but the more you prepare for it, the easier this will get. Okay? If you don't have a question, can you give me a quick thumbs up? Because in that case, we're going to look into some questions afterwards. We're going to do one question together, okay?